So before we get started, I just want to say thanks to all the people that subbed to my channel recently and interacted with me. I've actually been making videos all year, but YouTube's a tricky place. You have to title your videos in a certain way for them to show up in search lists. And I wasn't doing that, but I found a new program that helped me with that. And now people are able to see them. And because of that, you guys subbed. I appreciate it. You have no idea how much that means to me. Good or bad comments, I'm okay with either. I like the interaction. And really what it comes down to is we're all 49er fans, and we love the same team, and that's what I'm here to talk about, and so that's what I'm going to do. So I wanted to make a video about the upcoming divisional playoff game on Saturday in Santa Clara. I was watching the games this past weekend, and I started doing some thinking about who would be the best matchup for the 49ers. And actually, Minnesota wasn't that team. I think of the remaining teams, now that the Saints are eliminated, I think Minnesota actually poses the biggest threat. They're a very talented team on both sides of the ball. To go into New Orleans and do what they did, especially to Drew Brees, is impressive. He's a quick throw guy. He's been super, super dominant this year, him and Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara. They've been killing it. And to see what they did in that game, to keep them under wraps, if you look at Brees' statistics, a very pedestrian game for him for sure. And it's definitely not going to be a walk in the park game at all. I think the 49ers are going to have a really stiff challenge. I do see us winning in the end, but it's definitely a game that has given me a lot of pause for thought and has kept me thinking a lot about what the possible outcome could be. I'm definitely nervous, as we all should be. I mean, the playoffs isn't guaranteed. I feel like, people think like these windows of opportunity are going to be open forever. I mean, and they're not. I mean, if you look at the Niners' schedule next year, it's pretty difficult. It's going to be a tough road. So they got to take care and capitalize on the opportunity that they're being given. So I'm looking at the defense as one of the keys of the Minnesota Vikings, as one of the keys to the game. That defensive pass rush with Everson Griffin and with Danielle Hunter is a very formidable pass rush. If you remember, we played them last year to open the season, and they gave our offensive line and Jimmy a lot of problems. Jimmy had a pretty rough day. I think he threw 3 interceptions, and they harassed him all day. Their back end is talented as well with Xavier Rhodes. Barr at linebacker, he's a really good player too. It's definitely going to be a challenge. They are an extremely talented team on every level of the defense. My keys, I think, offensively for us is the run game. I feel like our run game is the tone setter. I feel like in the run game affects our pass game because it keeps defenses honest. It keeps it allows us to open up our offense when we're able to run the ball successfully. And the play action game is huge, especially for this kind of offense. I feel that Debo could have a good game. I mean, the quick passing game is definitely going to have to be something that the Niners use, especially with this kind of rush that they're going against. The slants, the quick hitches and things like that would be key against this defense for a guy like Debo. I think they're gettable in the play action with speed at receiver, and Emmanuel Sanders definitely offers that for us. And, of course, we can't forget our all-pro tight end, the best in the business, the people's tight end, George Kittle. I see him having a monster game, even though they're going to concentrate on him. I just feel like Kittle is the type of player that this is the stuff that he lives for. Kittle is a throwback. He'll play through injuries. He'll play through anything. And I'm looking forward to Kittle having a big game. Jimmy can eliminate the mistakes, not make any, those bonehead interceptions that he throws sometimes, I think the 49ers have a real shot, but it's all going to come down to the running game. Kendrick Bourne, if he can, keep those hands glued and sticky, make some big plays for us. He's definitely a guy you like to go to on third down. He's definitely a go-to player. If you remember the game against the Rams a couple weeks ago, he was one of the guys that caught a 3rd and 16 pass. And he had the dropsies early in the year, but he's definitely made up for it recently. So overall, I look for the whole offense to have a good game. And of course, we can't forget Raheem Mostert. Definitely think that he needs to get more touches in this game. I know Kyle likes to spread it around and hit you with different guys and stuff, but Raheem has earned the right to be the starting running back over Tevin Coleman. And yeah, you can mix in Breida too, which is, a good thing. I don't think Breida is a bell cow back. He's just not built for it. As you can see, anytime he gets a lot of carries, he seems to break down. I mean, if you remember, that ankle was a problem last year, and he's still having the same issue. So the offense has a chance. They just got to protect Jimmy and effectively run the ball, and I think we have a real shot on offense to score some points. Defensively, Minnesota is really a lot like us with the way they run their offense. So, I mean, our defense is going to see in Minnesota what they see all week in practice every week. My biggest thing for the 49ers on defense is having D Ford back, and if he can make an impact in this game. D Ford has been a no-show because of injury the last, 5 to 6 weeks with that hamstring, was it a grade 2 hamstring injury? It's like kind of like a tear. So he's been a no-go. Hopefully the rest has done well for him and he's able to go and be full strength. We definitely need him. I would assume he's going to be used in a situational pass rush role. I don't see him playing every down. And then, of course, Jaquiski Tart being on the back end, if he's able to go, it'll be huge. Yeah, I think Marcel Harris has done a good job, but Tart is a whole other level. Him and Ward playing this year, and when the pass rusher's going, it was a pretty dominant defense from the defensive line all the way through the secondary. And if he can find a way to be healthy and make it in this game, I think the Niners will be better for it. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you guys know because you're 49er fans and you pay attention to all those things. Their signing of Earl Mitchell was huge. I think the signing of Earl Mitchell just brings in more depth to the defensive line. Yeah, he hasn't been playing for the whole season. He retired, I think, in October, possibly. If you guys know better, correct me in the comments. But to sign him, he has experience. He's been an NFL veteran for a long time. And I think it only bodes well for us on defense to have a guy who was the one who tutored and groomed DJ Jones before retiring. It's only fitting that he comes and signs with the 49ers and is going to play in this playoff game. I think it's huge for us. It gives us more depth on the defensive line, a better rotation, so that we can rest guys and give guys a breather. And then, of course, Quan Alexander is big. If Quan Alexander is actually able to go in this game, I think that gives the 49ers a huge morale boost. And if he is able to go and he is healthy enough to play, and they're saying that it's a possibility, it would be huge for us. Huge get to have Quan in the game. I didn't think the 49ers defense would have a chance to be back to the level they were early on. All the injuries that we've taken have definitely caused this defense to regress. Just losing the depth of a guy, say like Ronald Blair, in that rotation, pass rush rotation, was a huge loss. A lot of you guys were commenting down below that the loss of Blair was one of the biggest reasons that our defense took a step back, and I completely agree. I feel like that rotation on the defensive line early in the season we were just coming in waves, and they just couldn't stop it. Teams could not stop it. They were overwhelmed. And like I said, with Quan being back and us having as close to full strength as we're going to get at this time of year, I think it'll be huge. I feel like pass rush is huge in this game. I mean, if you look at the weapons of Minnesota, they're pretty loaded. Delvin Cook at running back. I mean, Kirk Cousins is kind of a mystery to me because, you see him do miraculous things sometimes and you're like, wow, this guy's really good. But then like in clutch situations, at least until last week, he had been a no-show. He's definitely, to me, I feel like if you get pressure on Kirk Cousins, I think the 49ers have a shot. I mean, if you watch that Saints game, every time they got in his face, he was like erratic or, throwing the ball away. He's the type of guy that gets rattled by pressure. And I feel like if we can get in his face, I feel like that would bode well for us. I mean, their receivers, Thielen, Stephon Diggs are big time players, super talented. Again, the pass rush, if our pass rush is on point, we can neutralize that. But, we got to get home. We got to stop running past the quarterback anytime we get a chance to sack him. We actually have to get home. I think we can affect this offense if we can get pressure on Cousins. Kyle Rudolph, of course, their tight end. He's also a really good player. I'm not as sure who's going to be responsible for guarding him, which linebacker. I would assume if Quan is starting, that would be Quan's responsibility. Quan is an extremely good pass covering linebacker. I was another big loss that they suffered when he went down. Their linebackers, Azeez Al-Shaair and Dre Greenlaw, have definitely struggled in the passing game. So seeing how much it'd be interesting to see how much they play Quan in this game, if he does play, and if he would be matched up on Kyle Rudolph. So the way I look at it is this. If we are able to run the ball on offense and effectively hit them with play action at the right time and protect Jimmy, because that's going to be key. Protecting Jimmy is key. I feel we have the ability to hit them on some plays. If you watch the game against the Saints got them a couple times on some big chunk plays. So they are gettable. Defensively, pass rush has to be on. We have to be able to get pressure on Kirk, because I think Kirk is vulnerable with pressure. They were talking about it during the Saints game, about how the Saints defenders knew that if they could get around him, that they would affect him, that he gets jittery. So we got to make him jittery. We got to affect him. We got to hit him. We got to put him on the ground. And I think that'll bode well better for us if we're able to do that. And Delvin Cook, we can't allow him to get to the outside. We can't allow him to gouge us. Our run defense has to be on point. I think containing the run defensively is one of our biggest keys. I think that trickles down to everything else, because then you force him into passing situations. And like I said, if the defense is at close to full strength and we were able to tee off, I think that's advantage 49ers. And then really when it comes down to is no turnovers, or if we do, limit the amount of turnovers that we commit. Turnovers, I think, and special teams are two things that are overlooked in playoff games. Field position, like that kind of stuff people don't think about, but turnovers, those are game changers. Those can change momentum quickly. And then, like I said, special teams, field position, all that stuff, things that, especially the special teams, people don't think about that, but that's such a huge thing. And I feel like, we have to fix our special teams. I feel like we've been leaky in recent weeks. And if we can get control of that, I think we should be fine. So with all that being said, I'm going to come at you guys with a prediction for the game. I try to be as realistic in my predictions as possible. I try not to be one of those fans that says we're going to win 51-14. I think Minnesota's too talented for that. So with that being said, my prediction is 49ers 31, Minnesota 24. I feel like Minnesota's going to get some plays in this game. They're not going to be held in check all game. But I think the 49ers make just a couple more plays. I feel like we get a turnover late, and we're able to ground and pound them at the end and get the victory. So if that's the case, we're going to be headed to the NFC Championship game, and then that, like I said, that'll be a wait and see. That'll be a wait and see thing to see who we play. I hope it's Green Bay. I really don't want to see Seattle again, but if that's the case, then we got to face those guys again, and so be it. We'll put them out of their misery. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. I'm just super excited, yet a little nervous for this coming week, but to say that our 49ers are in the playoffs and have a chance to make it to Miami for the Super Bowl is a pretty awesome thing, so I'm definitely excited for that. All right, guys. Again, thanks for the subs. Thanks for the comments and interaction, and I will talk to everybody later. See ya.